Hi everybody, Brian Bush, Top Crop Alliance. If you're sticking with me here, this is the 8th video in our Top Crop Yield Pyramid series. We finally reached the top of the pyramid here. So probably the most controversial of all those we're going to talk through is right here, foliar feeds, micros, and biologicals. So let's jump right in. So I've kind of telling us all the other things. If it's not been addressed in this lower part of the pyramid here, I think that's where you check all these boxes here before we get into the foliar feeds, the micros, the biologicals. First things first, by no means, I'm not calling this fake oil. I have many operations I trust and respect that use these products every year and are very happy with their yields. Great, that's awesome. But for me, the question was, where can I cut? I'm more apt to cut in this area because I think that there's less return here than there are different areas on the yield pyramid. Primarily because when I think about, especially when I think about foliar feeds and micronutrients, the products work, the plants need those products, but the products, the packages you're getting, the amount you're getting in there is not enough to really supply the full amount that crop needs, whether it be corn or soybeans. So if you double the rate, triple the rate, maybe we could talk about that. Then you also start changing the ROI on those things too. So that's why we're there. In many cases, you may be getting enough of this micronutrients applied by the soil. So that's my big issue I have with these micronutrients. Another way is the timing. A lot of times it's been sold as put in with your fungicide pass. Well, if you look at the uptake curves, you only need to have some of those things in earlier in the season, during the grain growth phase, V6 on corn, R1 on soybeans. So understanding when you need to go in there, how much you need to really move the needle from a yield perspective, that's why I'm less apt to focus on these things over all the other pieces here on the yield pyramid. On top of that top crop, I mentioned in one of the previous videos, we've got a great group of customers that love to do trials. We've done trials with different micronutrients, different biologicals, and one year they might work pretty well, 2, 3, 4 bushel response. The next year they lose 2, 3, 4 bushels. So we've just not seen that consistency with the results, that average response here. So if your question is where can I cut back, I'd rather you cut from the top and work down. Now, if you've got all these other boxes checked, you start moving your budget to add more things, perfect, let's try some of these things. But give me a nice treated block and a nice check block. And we at Top Crop would love to help you analyze that. Look at the as applied data, the harvest data, and make a firm idea on what works out. I like getting in that, we can look at any one field and something can work or fail in one field. When we do trials, I like to get that 60, 80, 100 locations. So we can start teasing apart some of those differences. Maybe it works when the air temperature is less than 80 degrees for those biologicals. Maybe you need to have more water in the tank. It's more the carrier makes a bigger difference there. So those things you can kind of figure out when you have lots of locations that tease apart some of those differences there. So that's where my head's at. I'm not saying these things don't work. I'm not saying you shouldn't use them. It's just if you're asking me where to spend my dollars, I want this top of the pyramid to be the last dollars I spend before I start cutting back. Biologicals. I'm quite confident biologicals are going to work. The problem I have today is there's hundreds of companies in this biological space with thousands of products out there. $6 corn, I'm sure you had lots of these companies driving down the driveway saying, hey, here you go, it's only going to cost you 2 bushels or a bushel and a half to pay for this. And at $6, that made sense. At $4, now all of a sudden it's going to take, 30% more of that. I think these things are going to work. I think there's enough venture capital, enough government research going into these things. We're going to find things that work out. My experience, our testing we've done, kind of said these things are a little more inconsistent. It doesn't seem to be just a throw in the tank every time. But I love testing. Give me a treated block, a check block. Let's prove it to ourselves that it is working or it's not. So, big picture. Thanks for sticking with me through all these different videos here. This is our look at it, the top crop view on the yield pyramid. I'm sure you could custom discuss this. In fact, at the meeting, we had one guy said, Brian, you're way off base. Some of these micros and foliars need to be way down here. We had a nice civil discussion. I said, no, the only reason why you think that is because you're already doing these things. You have these boxes checked. So it's more important to you. So I think it's in the right spot. We could argue about fungicides, maybe some boron, things like that, but really, you have these checked. So that's why you feel like it's more important to you. I've got other people, we talked a little bit about planting depth. What's the right planting depth, right planting date? So planter pass at the meeting was much more emphasized and important for that operation. So again, we're not trying to say this is perfect. The whole goal here was to try to stimulate some conversation. Get guys thinking differently about your crop inputs, especially if you got to cut back. Where should you cut back? Where should you not cut back? To try and maintain yield potential, get the best dollars you can, and satisfy the banker. Hope that helps. Please reach out. Love to hear your thoughts, your questions. See what your trial is going to be this year. What's something you're going to try different? So, thanks for your time. Look forward to talking to you soon.